Hi guys. Okay, here's another little tip that I came across. Excuse me again for my throat. Another little tip that I came across as I try not to squeak here. Uh, as you guys know, most of the signs that I make, a large percentage, are the cedar fencing that I use. And I really like this stuff. I never have any issues with it beyond the drawing and everything that you've seen before. But I never have an issue with the ink on this cedar stuff, on this cedar fencing. However, when I get signs, orders for signs that are wider than this 6 inches, then what I go to is I use some kind of pine mostly. This is a piece of select pine that I got down at Lowe's, and it's real nice stuff. It's 1 by 12, 4 foot long, and it's real nice stuff. The issue that I have with this, excuse me, my nose is itching. I got all kinds of ailments going on. Anywho, um, the issue that I have with this is that once in a while the ink that we use, we use nothing but the Marsh stencil ink. The ink that we use sometimes will bleed into the grain, or it will leave little what I call shadows that get into the grain, and then they won't sand out, or you've got to sand so much that your carving is gone. So what I've done, and many of you know this, we've talked about it on Facebook a little bit, and many of you sign carvers are already doing this, but for those of you that aren't, this is what I'm recommending. I found this sanding sealer. It's just made by Deft. Has that really nice nozzle on it that I like. And before I ever start my sign, my boards, I actually put a coat or two of this on my board. So this board that you're looking at right here, before I would ever cut it or put an edge on it or lay it out or anything, I put at least 1 or 2 coats of this sanding sealer on it. And then once the ink is all dry, or once the sanding sealer is dry, then I can lay out the sign and proceed just as normal, like you would with a normal board. And that has completely cleared up any issues that I had with the ink bleeding into the board or leaving that little shadow that I'm talking about. Here's a sign that I just did the other day that I'm getting ready to ship out tomorrow that was exactly the same thing. This was a piece of that select pine that let me get this out of the way so you can see the entire sign, that I sealed up with at least 1 or 2 coats of the sanding sealer before I ever started the layout, before I sprayed the edge, before I ever started anything. I just put a couple coats of sanding sealer on it, and it made a huge difference. I know that I would have had issues with bleeding on this with my ink if I hadn't done that. So that really is kind of really what I wanted to touch base on with this. One more hint, little fact. In Arizona right now, it's probably about 110 degrees out here, something like that. And 120, 125 is not unusual. If that's the case where you're at, where you guys have heat that you're dealing with, I keep this in, and I've mentioned this again in the past, I keep this in a refrigerator so I can climate control it. Couple different reasons why. The biggest reason is as the temperature, outside temperature goes up, when this comes out of the can, it'll come out real hard, so it'll blow your layout letters around. If it's temperature controlled and you keep it right around refrigerator temperature or a little bit warmer, you won't have that issue. It won't blow it around. The second issue is that if this warms up too much, then it actually comes out powdery. It actually comes out almost dry when it hits your board. So it actually has a powdery aspect to it, and it'll rub off right on your fingers. So those are the 2 main issues that you want to keep this temperature controlled. Now when I'm in Oatman, I actually keep this in an ice chest on a block of ice so that I can keep it, because it gets even warmer up there, so I can keep it temperature controlled. So there's just another little tidbit for if you have issues with heat. So anything else I need to cover, Dad?
No, that pretty well covers it for
While I
this
still
one.
have a voice,
Yeah.
Ashley.
No,
Um,
that pretty well covers it for this one, son.
okay. Oh yeah. By the way, you might notice these letters right here. That's a Western font called Pointedly Mad. We are going to make another video right away and post it. And we now have an announcement that has to do with these Western letters. But Dad's going to film that. I'm going to film that. Dad's going to do that video. And we'll do that. Will be our next video. So you'll hear all about that. So I guess that's about it. Go on and check our Facebook. And we will see you down the road. Thanks.